it down and wrap around your head. The band that wrap around your head for niggas that's scared. Ain't nobody truller than me. Ain't nobody truller than Scott. Ain't nobody truller, man, I'm taking this spot. Yeah. These niggas that's scared.
Brothers in the city moving slow. 3500 for the coat. Only real niggas keep you flow. Only true niggas I know. 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 Only true niggas I know.
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy The Point God coming at you guys once again, and I'm here to discuss one of my favorite players of all time, Chris Paul, and I am here to give 4 destinations for Chris Paul this offseason, or should I say the top 4, because these are my 4 destinations that I believe are best suited for him. So if you like this video, hit that thumbs up. Let's try to get about 50 to 70 likes. Also comment down below your opinions if you agree or disagree with my destinations. Now without further ado, let's get on with this video. Number 4, the Toronto Raptors. Now personally, this isn't really the greatest choice in the world, that's why it is at number 4. But when you think about it, the Toronto Raptors will be able to throw Chris Paul a pretty good contract, considering that they just lost Kyle Lowry to free agency, and most likely I don't think Kyle Lowry will be a Toronto Raptor next year, depending on if he goes to the Rockets or the Spurs, or hell, who knows where he's gonna go. But Chris Paul going to the Raptors could just help him at least say he's gotten out of the second round, because I do think they could be maybe the 1st or the 2nd seed in the East, maybe get to the Eastern Conference Finals. They'd have a chance to, and Chris Paul most likely can extend his career a little bit more playing in an easier conference. Playing with DeMar DeRozan, Chris Paul can easily elevate everyone on that team to execute to the best of their abilities. That's one of the greatest things about Chris Paul, and going to the Raptors will kind of just bring a new feel for Chris Paul to go to a different city, to go to a different conference. I mean, he's been stuck in LA, and LA is just not going anywhere, and going to the Raptors, to have one of the best shooting guards in the league, arguably in some people's eyes the best shooting guard in the league, in DeMar DeRozan. And I mean, Chris Paul, let's be real, he's gonna help them in terms of coaching them on the court, because the Raptors coach is just not that good. Dwayne Casey is just not a good coach, and I don't believe in his philosophy of the team, and Chris Paul can really help them in that area. Now obviously this isn't the greatest destination for Chris Paul, but if we're going to talk about, the 4 best suitable ones, this one has to be number 4. And the reason it's not anywhere higher is because of so many factors. Coaching, Dwayne Casey isn't the greatest coach in the world, we all know that. He's just pretty much living off of a pretty solid team. And the other factor is the spacing of this team isn't the greatest, and Chris Paul isn't like some elite 3-point shooter. Even though he's a solid 3-point shooter, don't get me wrong, he can average about 40%, 38% from 3. He's a solid 3-point shooter, but he's not a great 3-point shooter. And like I said before, Dwayne Casey isn't the greatest coach in the world, but when you look at the positives, Chris Paul is a pretty good player coach. He can coach players on the court. He knows where everyone's supposed to be. Very good facilitator. He facilitated the Clippers. When you take Chris Paul off the Clippers don't even make the playoffs. I mean, let's just think about it. Blake Griffin thrives off of Chris Paul in terms of, getting him the ball. DeAndre Jordan needs Chris Paul to get him the ball. JJ Redick, he's not going to be, dancing on people to set up his shots. He needs Chris Paul to get him the ball. The only one on that team besides Blake Griffin, because Blake Griffin, at times he can just post up and, take it in himself. Besides Blake, everyone is dependent on CP3, but if he goes to the Raptors, he'll have players such as Jonas Valanciunas and DeMar DeRozan, who are pretty good players that can, work by themselves without a point guard, or should I say an elite point guard such as Chris Paul. And I mean, when you think about it, they'll have the room to bring in Chris Paul due to the fact that they just lost Kyle Lowry due to free agency, and he most likely will not be re-signing. So I mean, the Raptors have to be number 4. They're not anywhere higher, but they have to be on this list because they did just lose a point guard who's considered a top 10 point guard, and why not replace him with an even better point guard in Chris Paul. Number 3, the Houston Rockets. Now, Chris Paul being on the Rockets is a huge boost for James Harden. Huge boost. James Harden could go back to playing the shooting guard, and having Mike D'Antoni with CP3, a top 10 point guard of all time, I mean, it is crazy to see that. It would be nice to see CP3 and James Harden. That would easily be a top 5 backcourt in the NBA. You know, to have CP3 to make everyone on that team better, because that's what he does, like I said before. And just having CP3 and Mike D'Antoni together, oh, that's a match made in heaven. And also CP3's defense is amazing. Lockup, even though, you know, he does get danced on by Steph Curry at times, don't get me wrong, but there are just certain players in the league that are just unguardable. But CP3 on the Rockets, with all those shooters around him kicking it out to Lou Williams, kicking it out to Eric Gordon, kicking it out to James Harden, I mean, it would just be a beauty to watch. The Rockets would be phenomenal, but the reason that I have them at number 3 and not anywhere higher is because of the fact that the Houston Rockets, if they got CP3, would they really win a championship? Would they really challenge the Warriors in a sense of, could they beat them? And that's hell no. Though I love the Houston Rockets team, I love watching them play. They can just hit threes and just kill anybody. They have a puncher's chance whenever they're connecting on all those threes, like they did against the Spurs in the Western Conference semifinals last year. But besides that, they're just not going to be good enough to beat the Warriors, and CP3 needs to go to a team that can guarantee him a chance to beat the Warriors or to beat the Cavs in the Eastern Conference and win the championship, or at least get to the championship, because we know this guy does not have a Western Conference Finals appearance. Well, scratch that, a conference finals appearance or a finals appearance for that matter. So that's why the Rockets are so low on this list. Number 2, the San Antonio Spurs. Now, I know some people are saying, yo, what the heck is wrong with you? Why do you have the Spurs so low on this list? Well, you'll see when I get to number 1. But one of the reasons why I do have them so low is because the Spurs, let's just face the facts and face reality. Though it would be the perfect fit for Chris Paul to go to the Spurs, would they beat the Golden State Warriors? I mean, really, would they beat them? Hell no. There's not a chance in hell that they could beat the Golden State Warriors, okay? They would be a great team. CP3 and Kawhi, CP3 and Popovich. We know how Popovich loves how to, minimize, older players' minutes so they can be utilized to the best of their ability when they need them, just like how he did for Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili. I mean, look at Manu Ginobili right now. It's crazy how he's extended his career. People talk about Vince Carter. Look at Manu. Those two are the perfect ways to how you age, and Manu and Greg Popovich, they know how to do that. And honestly, when you look at the Spurs and you look at the Warriors, let's just face the facts. The Warriors have 4 All-Stars on their team, 4 All-NBA players on their team, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, the greatest three-point shooter of all time, and arguably the second greatest three-point shooter of all time in Klay Thompson. And then you have Kevin Durant, the second greatest player on the face of the planet. I mean, it is crazy. They had a 73-9 team and they added Kevin Durant. And you're telling me that's not enough to pretty much win the championship the next 3 years if they're not met with any team with at least 3 All-Stars, and those 3 All-Stars have to be phenomenal. And the Spurs only got 1 right now. LaMarcus ain't an All-Star, bro. LaMarcus can't be your 3rd best player anymore. He's not in that fit anymore. He cannot go up against Draymond when he gets punked pretty much every time they face each other. So I don't want to see, the Golden State Warriors go up against Kawhi and CP3 basically, because it's just not enough. Though Manu did perform really well last year, don't expect that next year, because he most likely won't even be playing. He most likely will be retiring. And also, when you look at the Spurs right now, let's just face reality here. Let's just face reality. Besides Kawhi Leonard, who on that team can you really depend on? Because like I said, you can't depend on Manu. He's getting old. You can't depend on LaMarcus. He gets his heart snatched out from him. So that's it. Add CP3. It'll just be them 2 that you can really depend on. But like I said before, it's a great fit. Tony Parker is, aged out. He's worn down. We saw him break down in the playoffs. But I mean, adding CP3, that'll give them their point guard of right now. But I don't think it's enough for them to win the championship. I don't think it's enough for them to beat the Warriors. The only thing that will help Chris Paul with is the fact that he can say that he got to a conference finals. But that's it. Number 1, the Milwaukee Bucks. Now personally, this has to be the best thing for CP3. Honestly, I think this team could dethrone the Cleveland Cavaliers. A lineup of CP3, Jabari, Giannis, you got Malcolm Brogdon, Thon Maker. I mean, that is a very, very good team. And then on the bench, you also have Matthew Dellavedova as the backup point guard. I mean, this team is very, very set up to win. I mean, I hope people don't look at this and say, oh, well, you don't have the Spurs at #1, so I'm clicking away. Calm down, guys. Think about this. That team could dethrone the Cleveland Cavaliers. We all know that Kevin Love, there are talks about him being traded for PG. If they trade him for PG, maybe you can make the argument then the Bucks are not enough to beat the Cavs. But if the Cavs played the Bucks in the playoffs this year, let's say the Bucks beat the Raptors. Tell me this, do you think that the Cavs would sweep the Bucks? Because I don't think they would have swept them. I think the Bucks would have at least got 1 game. And then add Jabari Parker, I think they probably would have got 2 games. And then add CP3, that's a pretty good series right there. That's a pretty good series. That can maybe go to 7 games. Maybe they pull a quote-unquote upset in the eyes of some people and they beat the Cavs. That is a good team right there. Now, would they beat the Warriors? Probably not. Okay, they're not going to beat the Warriors. But it'll at least get CP3 to the finals, and that's something that I don't think that the Spurs can do, the Rockets can do, or the Raptors can do. Hence, I believe that it is the best fit for CP3. Alright, so if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Comment down below your opinions if you agree or disagree with me or not. Also, you guys follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and add me on Snapchat. The links will be down below as the pinned comment and in the description box. So, subscribe if you are new, hit the bell, y'all know all of that. So this is your boy, the Point Guard, signing out. Peace.
Fuck with me, I bring 2 bad ones to the crib. Fuck with me, I bring no bad ones to the crib. And every bitch a nigga fuck me on my dick. No, I don't know why it always come down to this. My only rule is just don't hit me on my trap phone. You know I can't get caught up on my trap phone.